Good morning. Thank you for joining us. This is the weather hazard briefing for Wednesday, December 22nd. I'm meteorologist Andrew McCon, and today is the first of many active weather days across the area as we're expecting a long duration snow event here over the next few days. So the snow event, which will begin later today, will occasionally have some moderate to heavy snow at times, especially across the higher terrain here today. As we get into the day tomorrow, might see a little bit of rain mix in for a very brief period in the eastern Magic Valley, as well as the Snake Plain. Gusty winds as well are expected tomorrow. And then beyond tomorrow, the winds should diminish a little bit, but it will remain cold with off and on snow chances pretty much through the weekend. We do have winter storm watches in effect for some of our mountain zones this morning, with winter weather advisories likely needed for other areas of eastern Idaho here later today or tomorrow. Taking a look at the satellite, we can see this southwesterly flow kind of bringing in clouds and moisture to the area. And generally the weather pattern is going to be unsettled basically through the holiday weekend and perhaps into early next week. So multiple days, multiple rounds of precipitation is expected across the area. So that being said, looking at our weather risk outlook, you can see basically every day across the entire area we do have chances for snow, as well as some blowing snow issues in a few spots with those breezy winds that are expected. I did mention we have the winter storm watch out in effect this morning. You can see across portions of the central mountains, as well as the eastern and northeastern highlands. As we get into later today, perhaps tomorrow, in all likelihood we will have some winter weather advisories kind of extend for parts of the remaining areas, as we are expecting some accumulating snowfall here over the next few days. As far as temperatures are concerned today, generally right around normal, perhaps slightly above normal temperature-wise. You can see those highs in the mid to upper 30s across the interstate corridor. As you get into the higher terrain, however, temperatures will be right around freezing or so, perhaps a little bit below, depending on your location. We do have some light snow accumulations expected today, generally 1 to 2 inches across the higher terrain, but not expecting to see much, if any, in the Snake Plain or the Magic Valley today. As we get into tomorrow, however, those snow chances become much more widespread across the area. You will notice that temperatures, however, in the interstate corridor at least, generally from Idaho Falls south, will be above freezing for our high temperatures. So that being said, we do have the potential in the afternoon for a little bit of rain to mix in, with those snow levels probably right around 5,000 feet, give or take a few hundred feet, depending on where you're located. So we might see some accumulation from American Falls up through Idaho Falls. Should be pretty light, although some of the benches outside of town might see a little bit more. But you can see our much higher snowfall totals are focused across the winter storm watch area, with 6 to 8 inches likely in the Sun Valley, Stanley area, with perhaps 8 to as much as 12 inches across some of the higher terrain as you head towards Island Park or down into the Wasatch as you head towards the Utah border. Snow chances remain in the forecast, as I said a few times now, basically through the holiday weekend. So we do have some additional light accumulations expected as we get into the day Friday. You can see those mountain totals not quite as high as what we see on Thursday, but still certainly expecting some accumulating snowfall in those areas, as well as just about everywhere else. Again, they should be generally light, but with all the holiday travel going on, obviously they will be some impactful snowfall amounts nevertheless. Along with the snow, we will have some wind potential, especially on Thursday. You can see some of those higher gusts that we were expecting. Thankfully, some of the places with some of the higher winds out by INL and along the interstate corridor probably won't see much, if any, snow that day, so probably won't have any issues with blowing snow concerns. But you can see across some of the higher terrain in the central mountains, as well as the eastern highlands, we will have some gusty winds in place there, so some of the higher peaks could have some blowing snow for anybody doing any sort of recreational activities up there. As we get into the day Friday, gusty winds will continue a little bit. So we do have potential again for some blowing and drifting snow. We will be expecting accumulating snow just about everywhere on Friday. So do have a little bit of potential for some of the blowing snow concerns there. As far as the amounts are concerned, as I said, it's going to be a multi-day, multiple round event. So between today and Friday, generally expecting about 1 to maybe 3 inches across the 15, 86, 84 corridor. Obviously much higher totals as you get into the higher terrain. But as we get into Saturday and beyond, even into early next week, probably Monday, maybe even Tuesday, we'll probably still have more snow in the forecast across the area with gradually cooling temperatures with potential perhaps for some Arctic air maybe getting into our area as we get into early next week. So something to kind of stay tuned and pay attention to over the next few days. You can see those temperatures as we get into the weekend gradually starting to get colder and colder. And again, there are some indications that in the early part of next week we could have some much colder air than this get into the area as well. So have to keep an eye on that. As we get into Saturday, same story. There's more snowfall in place. Accumulations look pretty light, generally speaking, but nevertheless, for any folks traveling back to the area or traveling through the area as part of your holiday travels, certainly be on the lookout for potential accumulating snowfall. So again, today begins our active weather period, and it should continue through the weekend. We will have additional winter weather advisories likely issued at some point here over the next 24 to 48 hours for portions of the area, with some gusty wind concerns as well, especially on Thursday for some blowing snow concerns. So everybody stay safe out there. Thank you for joining us this morning, and have a pleasant Wednesday.